All right, so you're Bryce Thomas, and Mr. Thomas was previously in court, entered pleas of guilty in cause number 24 DCCR 0389 to the third-degree felony offense of prohibited weapon, cause number 24 DCCR 0390, also a third-degree felony of possession of a prohibited weapon, cause number 24 DCCR 0391, pled guilty to the state jail felony offense of theft of a firearm. Cause number 24 DCCR 0392, pled guilty to the lesser offense of indecency with a child by exposure, also a third-degree felony.
Welcome back to Judge Point. Don't forget to subscribe for more real courtroom stories. Today we follow the case of Bryce Thomas, a young man facing multiple felony charges. In a single courtroom appearance, he pleads guilty to possessing prohibited weapons, stealing a firearm, and indecency with a child by exposure. No plea bargain stands in place, leaving his fate entirely in the hands of the judge. With stacks of reports and one of the largest disciplinary packets ever submitted, the stage is set for a tense sentencing.
There was no plea agreement. I have received and reviewed the pre-sentence report. Has everyone had an opportunity to review that report?
State has yours.
In addition, there is also the largest packet I've ever received of jail incident reports in a case. Did everyone have an opportunity to review those?
Yes, I took an evening and
35 pages.
I reviewed them one evening.
State reviewed all 35 pages of the list.
In addition, the state has filed a state sentencing memorandum. Mr. Burbank, did you receive that, and were you able to review it? Okay. Anything else, any objections or corrections or additions to the report?
The defense attorney steps forward, painting Thomas as a troubled youth who spiraled quickly into crime. He notes that stolen law enforcement weapons mysteriously appeared back in his office, later returned to authorities. His pitch? Probation. He suggests 10 years of supervision instead of hard time, with possible jail for the theft but leniency for the indecency charge. The defense frames this as a chance to guide a young man back to society, not bury him behind bars. Yet the courtroom remains skeptical.
Front hallway and we'll return to the sheriff's department. And I'd like the court to take notice that those weapons are off the street and back into the department.
Could you speak up a little bit, please?
Oh, back into the department. The would go open because I do not have a recommendation. You can place him on probation for a period of 10 years and see what he does. These are third-degree felonies that you can do. At the very end, state jail does, I believe, the theft of the firearm. You could put him in a state jail.
Bryce Thomas himself speaks. His excuse is familiar. He was young, dumb, and reckless in jail. But the judge cuts in sharply. Being young doesn't excuse repeated misconduct. She reminds him that the point of growing up is to learn, and he has not shown growth. His repeated infractions in jail raise a serious question. If he can't follow rules in custody, how could he ever succeed on probation outside? The frustration in her voice is unmistakable, revealing doubts about whether rehabilitation is even possible.
For a period of time and put him on probation for the other one. I would ask that if you are going to send him to the penitentiary, that maybe in reference to the sexual offense, that you do place him on probation, so that you can have some accountability for him once he got out for a period of time. That would give the court maybe whether or not he's learned his lesson. Now, as you peruse through the 35 pages of incident reports.
The prosecutor, Mr. Coleman, shifts focus from jail write-ups to the crimes themselves. He details brazen burglaries of police vehicles with stolen weapons converted into dangerous, fully automatic firearms. Coleman warns of the broader threat. This wasn't mischief, but an arsenal in the making. He argues that these weapons could have ended in the hands of criminals, used against officers, or unleashed on the streets. His call is stern. Prison time must come first, followed by strict probation to protect the public and send a message.
Funny, because I've talked at length with Mr. Thomas about those, and he'd like to address the court on those. It is what it is, and that's not behavior of whether or not he would be able to follow the court's orders if he can't follow what's going on in jail for a period of time, in reference to probation. I would ask that the court would ask Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, go ahead. You have something to say?
You don't have to say that. I could just say
The judge probes deeper, questioning the legal mechanics of stacking probation after prison. Can probation be consecutive, or must it begin immediately? Coleman insists it can be done, citing case law, ready to recess and bring proof. The judge wrestles with the timing and fairness, highlighting how complex sentencing becomes when mixing incarceration with rehabilitation. Behind the debate lies a bigger struggle, balancing the law's technical framework with the human realities of a young but dangerously bold offender. The tension builds as options narrow.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes, Your Honor, I'll be brief since I put everything, I made the state's position clear in our sentencing memorandum. I'd like to briefly shift the focus from the write-ups to the underlying facts in the state's report,
Yeah.
which I believe are
Still in out of cop cars.
stealing from patrol vehicles, at least 2 patrol units, Your Honor. Detective Matt Dixon is here if you want to hear more details of the detective. But Your Honor, I think the audacity, the boldness to steal these weapons from a police car goes to show what exactly the nature of this defendant is and what we're dealing with here. And even more than that, Judge, it appears from the underlying facts that the defendant may be implicated in a series.
The judge turns back to Thomas, dissecting his choices. She highlights the absurdity. Why steal police weapons? These aren't for hunting or protection. They're for intimidation, for violence, for chaos. She calls out the bravado it took to raid a patrol car, noting he's only the second defendant in her entire career bold enough to try it. Her tone carries disbelief and disappointment. For her, these crimes symbolize more than theft. They represent recklessness, capable of devastating consequences. Thomas listens, but his future darkens with each word.
He benefits from not having a criminal history to speak of, but Your Honor, this is beyond the pale. I ask you to send him, do 2 things, a split sentence in this case. Sentence him to prison for what he's done, and then following that, a consecutive probation period so that we can continue to monitor him and supervise him after he's released from prison. Thank you, Your Honor.
So I wanted to make sure, Mr. Coleman, I've done this type of sentencing that you're asking for on some different cases. I think the probation period, if I sentence...
Finally, the judge begins sentencing. On the first prohibited weapon charge, she hands down 7 years, not 5 as the prosecutor requested, but more. Her reasoning is clear. He's been in custody long enough that 5 years would barely matter. On the second weapons charge, the same. 7 more years in prison. Then comes the theft of a firearm. This time, the penalty is lighter, 2 years in state jail. Each decision stacks pressure piece by piece, creating a roadmap of consequences that leaves little wiggle room.
What are y'all doing? What are you doing with all these?
In Texas, a judge
Not
can
shooting
separately.
Sir?
not shooting people.
Not shooting people yet. What are you shooting? Why would you have these? What are you getting these to shoot at? Just to be tough and say you have guns? That's all that's happening with these guns on the street is y'all are shooting at each other, at other people, at houses, at cars, at whatever. There's no reason to have these kind of guns. These aren't hunting.
Then comes a twist in the indecency case. The judge chooses not to send Thomas straight to prison. Instead, she defers the proceedings, suspending a 10-year sentence and replacing it with probation. But this probation is no free pass. It won't even begin until he finishes prison time. And, if he fails, those 10 years will slam down with full force. It's a delicate balance, punishment and a chance at treatment. For Thomas, it's the last thread of hope tied tightly around years of confinement.
Coleman, I would like, at least in the indecency case, to get treatment and probation on that case so that we know you're not going to go make that type of bad decision again. But I'm not giving you probation on everything. You want to change your life and do better and not be young and dumb, you're going to have some time to figure that out. So in cause number 24, DCCR 0389, I'm going to find that you entered your plea of guilty freely and voluntarily, find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and at this time find you guilty of possession of a prohibited weapon. Mr. Coleman actually asked me to sentence you to 5 years. I don't think that's enough. I'm going to sentence you, and that's...
The defense raises one more point: sex offender registration. Could deferred status keep Thomas from permanent conviction? The judge acknowledges the legal nuance, but reminds the court 3 felony convictions are already on his record. A reduced charge may soften the blow, but it does not erase the truth. His history is stained, his opportunities narrowed. The lawyer's plea is small comfort compared to the larger weight of reality. Probation may spare him prison in one case, but his path forward remains shadowed.
Find you guilty of the state jail felony offense of theft of a firearm. Sentence you to a term of 2 years in the state jail prison. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. Then in cause number 24, DCCR 0392, find sufficient evidence to find you guilty. However, in that case, I'm going to defer all proceedings, place you on probation. No, that's the third. I'm going to find you guilty of that offense, sentence you to a term of 10 years in the institutional division, but I'm going to suspend that and place you on probation for 10 years.
Can I address the court on that? With a deferred,
The judge locks in conditions: a $500 fine, mandatory sex offender treatment, classes, compliance checks, sobriety, and total obedience to probation terms. She warns Thomas, his conduct in prison will shape everything. If he repeats the chaos of jail, parole will vanish, and he will serve full time. Her words cut sharp: grow up, or waste your life in prison walls. It's not just a sentence, it's a blueprint for survival. The courtroom grows quiet, sensing the gravity of this final warning.
legislation, it would, if he did comply after he got out, that he may have a chance instead of a conviction.
He's already got 3 convictions.
Well,
A
I
fourth.
understand that, but a sexual, kind of,
May I respond, Judge? That is a reduced plea to a reduced charge.
I agree.
I'd like to point that out.
Can I give a straight on indecency though? Hold on. I think it has to be deferred. Hold on.
As paperwork circulates, the judge emphasizes another lifelong consequence. Thomas is now ineligible to possess firearms or ammunition under Texas law. She hands him a written admonishment explaining the legal definitions and prohibitions. For someone whose crimes centered on weapons, this hits hard. His identity, once wrapped in bravado with guns, now faces permanent restriction. Any violation will bring new charges, sealing his downfall. The irony is chilling. The very tools that led him here are the ones forever denied to him moving forward.
If you want to change your ways, you're going to have every opportunity to do that. If you don't, you're going to end up, number one, you're probably not going to make parole if you keep acting like you've been acting here. If you get to prison and you act like this, you're not going to make your parole. You're going to do that whole 7 years. That's going to be up to you. The sooner you get out and act right, the sooner you can start this other probation and get off of it, grow up, and maybe change your life. That's going to be up to you. On that deferred, I am going to order a $500 fine that you follow all of the conditions of probation. That's going to include sex offender treatment, going to whatever classes are necessary, staying clean, not getting in any trouble, all of those kinds of things.
The lawyer guides Thomas through the pile of documents, explaining the certification of no appeal and the written admonishment. Every clause, Every line ties him tighter to the justice system. Ignorance will not protect him. The courtroom procedure feels heavy, not just with law, but with the weight of a young life reshaped by poor choices. Once, Thomas strutted with the confidence of someone stealing from police cars. Now he's left with nothing but rules, restrictions, and the long shadow of punishment.
Mr. Coleman?
Your Honor, is there a deadly weapon finding option with these weapons?
I don't think so.
Do you think so? Okay. Okay.
Unless you can, I don't think that's,
We didn't allege it.
well, and they're not, possession of prohibited in the 3G, so I don't think we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All right, so all of these are actually wrong because y'all marked off plea bargain and there wasn't a plea bargain. So I'm going to hand you the trial court certification in all of your cases. This shows that these were not a plea.
The judge concludes by stressing one final point. His fate is now his choice. Behave, and he may one day rebuild his life. Fail, and the system will consume him. 7 years in prison, probation after release, fines, and treatment, it's a layered test of character. Few defendants walk away with both harsh punishment and a lifeline. For Thomas, this balance is fragile, resting entirely on his ability to grow up. Redemption is possible, but ruin is just as likely, depending on his every step.
And also the lesser offense in that, so there was consideration taken, so this was an agreement, at least for those reductions. Okay, so you have waived your right to appeal. In these cases, I'm going to hand you those certifications. I'm also handing you a written admonishment regarding your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition. Because of the judgments entered against you, you're ineligible under Texas law to possess a firearm or ammunition. Possession of a firearm or ammunition could lead to charges against you. Firearm is a legal term, and you should read that written admonishment I provide you to see what devices qualify as a firearm. If you have questions about the laws that make you ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, or about how long that lasts, you can talk with Mr. Burbank. All right, good luck to you, sir. You can go back with the bailiff.
The case closes. The defendant is led away, his future stretching between prison walls and probation terms. The courtroom empties, yet the echoes remain. A reminder of how quickly reckless youth becomes a lifetime of consequence. For the judge, this is not just sentencing, but a message. Choices define destiny. For Thomas, the years ahead are not just punishment, but opportunity if he chooses to seize it. Thank you for watching Judge Point. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more gripping courtroom stories.